Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the GotchardCast. We are Otaku Sentai Podranger. This is your host, B-Shuck.
And Ben.
And she!
We have an exciting bunch of episodes today because we'll be covering the three-part finale of this ongoing arc, as well as a breather episode at the end. But let's just get right into it. So,
Yes.
episode 25.
Dire freaking straits here.
Oh yeah, the battle is raging on between Iron Gotchard and Garyon and his minions. And we got a very hype transformation sequence for Iron Gotchard that basically ended out last episode. And so this episode begins with the showcase of Iron Gotchard on the battlefield, and he's a pretty powerful one.
It's like we finally because I remember last episode I was like, okay, what the hell's happening? Because it showed off in the beginning where it's like, oh, he's got a new form. When did he get this? And then we go into the episode. Now it's like this one's kind of showcasing not only that form, but also how he got it. And let me tell you, the pain he will go through for his chemis is astronomical.
So many chemis got stolen from him, and he's willing to put it all on the line for their sake.
Yeah, because all he has now is Steamliner. And
who is now digivolved into Tenliner.
Yeah.
Thus granting the Iron Gotchard form.
Let's see, this was because he's fighting the warp tear amalgam, and this is one of the stronger amalgams they encounter in their travels. I'd say probably the strongest golden amalgam, for sure. I think it's it's an ancient class, right?
Yeah, so it's a dinosaur type chemi.
Yeah.
And just thinking on it, something I realized just now is that way back during Dread's introduction arc, when we were like, oh, there's a traitor in the association, and the traitor was using this forbidden alchemy that basically allows her to reach her hand out through portals.
Yeah.
That wasn't with the Warp Terra Chemi, but that was still considered forbidden, dangerous alchemy.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why the 101 chemis are so closely protected by the Alchemist Academy, and why they're considered so dangerous to the public is because what if they're actually based in forbidden alchemy, and that's why they were created?
Yeah. Because I was thinking, yeah, you go ahead.
You have one that can just time travel. They're just so immense in power that I wouldn't be surprised if their powers were considered forbidden alchemy, and that's where they came from.
Yeah, and it really it's got me thinking about just alchemy in general. And since the chemis were made using different forms of alchemy, I wonder if each one of the powers kind of is derived from the magic, or not magic, but the alchemy that's being used there. Where it's I wonder if it's there are different forms of alchemy that are forbidden, but they're not forbidden if they become a chemi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess a chemi, personifies it, because I don't think any of the chemis have been malicious at all. It's only when they come in contact with the malice of humans that they've really done any wrong. So maybe the chemis were just made so that those forbidden powers would only be used by an ambivalent force. But then again, you have some Zukunpire that nearly destroy the world, not out of malice, but just because they're thinking, oh, I want to absorb the love of all these people because that's my fuel source. And so I don't know.
Because
there's definitely a lot.
A lot of chemis they're just doing what they have to do to survive, like what Zukunpire was doing, and he didn't realize the ethical implications of what he was doing until he finally realized it, and then it kind of got turned around on him to turn him into amalgam. But yeah, no, it's interesting to think about because we haven't really seen too much on that side. We've really just focused on the chemis themselves over the raw alchemy of the series.
Yeah. But anyway, so Warp Tear Amalgam just
Yeah.
gets blasted by Iron Gotchard. He doesn't stand a chance. But in the fight, this forbidden alchemy, while Hotaro's been able to do it without turning into amalgam, it's still a huge toll on his body, so he nearly passes out. And then out of nowhere, Fuga Kudo appears and grabs him.
He's
Yeah, it
like,
was
nope.
very slick editing where he just shows up on screen out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then Reunite's just like, "Oh my God, Dad!" And he's like, "Yes, it is I, your dad, and
I
I'm here
am
to
the
help
father.
this kid." And freaking and then there's like a little flashback because in the last episode it kind of showed where like they were just like hanging out and like somebody like comes up and then we see Iron Gotchard. Well, the person that walked up was Fuga Kudo, and he's like, "All right, Hodoro, here's what you got to do. There is a way to power up a Chemi card, but it kind of takes some of your power too. So it's kind of like a symbiotic thing going on, kind of
Yeah,
like mixing the chemistry of a person and a Chemi. And that's kind of what Hodoro does. He gives up a lot of his energy to make 10-liner, and
yeah. And the
uh,
fact that his own life energy was able to power up that chemi, it really goes to show just how strong of an alchemist he's become even
oh
beyond
yeah,
his chemis.
yeah, and it's crazy to see where it's like you think he's hit like the peak of his character development, and then let's just kind of like write it out, right? But like he just keeps like you see all these like hurdles he's got to cross, and they just get higher and higher and higher. And like this was just like he did forbidden alchemy like this, and like he didn't die,
Yeah,
you know?
like if anyone else had like tried this, they probably would have become amalgam. Like
Yeah,
that's what I've read. But because Hotaro, has next to no malice in his heart, he's just a pure-hearted guy. That's why we've loved him for these past nearly 30 episodes. He was able to create this new form with Tenliner.
yeah, it is. It's awesome to just to see because like uh at least with like Geats, it was more like I was like, how's this slick dude gonna get past this scenario, right? But it wasn't super personal to the characters, at least in Geats, compared to this show. Because there's a lot more personal ties in this series. I feel.
Oh yeah, because it does make for an interesting contrast where with Geats, it felt like the situation was being reset all the time.
Yeah,
Like the circumstances kept getting changed. But with this show, it's just one long, continuous life experience that all these characters share. So there's a lot more breathing room for their development and their relationships.
yeah. It's almost refreshing because like Geats was just a constant, just like things were always happening, and if things weren't happening, they were about to happen. You know.
Oh yeah, which I mean I love like
Oh yeah,
that about Geats,
absolutely, absolutely.
but it's nice to have a change from that to something
Yeah, because
more down to
I
earth
shouldn't
and
even.
personable.
Yeah, I shouldn't even be like comparing Yeats to Gotchard because they're just so different. But it's hard not to compare it since it was the series before. But
Yeah.
I feel like Hodoro's just gone through just so much.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, like say whenever they like he becomes Iron Gotchard and he defeats Warp Terra, uh, Minato comes back and like tries to like he does a couple flourishes with as Dread, and what goes down is that well, this is after Fuga grabs Hodoro by whenever he falls to the ground. Minato kind of just like he just goes out of Dread and he just kind of like looks like he's just out. He's just kind of in thought, and it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
well, I wonder what he's talking about. I wonder what he's thinking about. But then it's like, well, if he knew Fuga, he must be like, oh shit, it's Fuga,
Yeah.
Or it's like, why is he helping them out? Um, but yeah, like it turns out that the trans amalgamation really put a heavy toll on Hodoro's body, and he's basically down and out right here. Um, So like, I think at this point Minato just kind of just is like, okay, well, I'm gonna retreat. I'm not gonna fight Fuga. And so uh, they have Warp Terra now. Hodoro's knocked out. Uh, Fuga's just like, all right, well, I'll leave it to you guys. And they all kind of go back to the restaurant. And here's where we really get to the meat and potatoes of uh, Minato's past. Why he's as angsty as he is. Why he's doing what he's doing. Um, so I thought it was interesting where it's like, yeah, he was a student along with because he was in a friend group with Kyoka, Spanner's like sensei, and there was actually a third in their group. Uh,
Daiki Suzuka was his
yeah,
name.
and Suzuka was a junior to Minato when they were still in alchemy school, and how they introduce him is he's just kind of like it's I don't want to say it's bare bones, but it's like you kind of get who this guy is, and like just from the first like time you see him. Uh, his dream is to become a big shot alchemist and share his knowledge with the common folk to gain world peace.
Yeah,
So like he was gonna like use alchemy to like grant world peace to the common folk, which kind of sounds like Hodoro,
yeah. I was
right?
gonna say
Yeah, it
sounds
really
similar
does.
to a certain someone we
Yeah,
know.
yeah, and like right as I saw that scene, I was like, okay, Minato is. I bet he sees Daiki in Hodoro, and that's why he's doing what he's doing. He's got to be doing. There's something totally going on here. But man, let me tell you the truth. The truth hurts. What happens here? So this all goes down the same day that Spanner's parents die. So Minato's just like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna cheer you on, and I'm your biggest fan. Okay, we're gonna do world peace." But boom, amalgam attack on the campus. Right, sisters are there. Uh, Fuga's there, so it looks like he's uh a senior to Minato because like he looks like he was still in like still like a student at that time. But Fuga's like, okay, I'm gonna fight this amalgam, and I'm gonna keep the sisters at bay. You go find, you go help your fellow students out. Um, so like the cutting is a little weird here, but I think what happens is that Garyon is like, I think he may have been a professor here. Uh, because the first thing that Minato does is he goes to find Garyon, and when he does, he's like, "Hey, we're being attacked," and then Garyon's like, "Yeah, I know," and then Minato's like, "Wait, what do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, I kind of I did this attack," and Minato's just like, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, actually, uh, we know that he's a bad guy, but he's trying to get into Minato's head, saying that he's not." He's like, "Well, I didn't do this. It was Kudafugo. It was his fault." And tries to get into Minato's head, but Minato's like, "Nope, I'm not gonna believe you. I'm taking you into custody." And he does some like, it's cool because like you really see like his alchemy ring is like green, and I was like, "Well, I haven't seen that kind of color before."
Huh? Yes. You said Garyon's was?
Minato's,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. That's an interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've seen it.
because now it's like red,
Hmm.
isn't it?
Honestly, I haven't really kept much track of all the alchemy ring colors.
Yeah,
Like, I wasn't sure if there's a theme to them.
because that was the first time I saw a green one. Uh, Yeah, he doesn't. He's like, no. He's trying to get into my head. I'm gonna like take him into custody by putting like metal, like just like warping metal bars around his arms. Um, well, Garyon's like, well, that's funny that you tried to do that because, and he melts the bars and they turn into gold, and it turns into that Rubik's cube that he carries around, and like he's like, all right, die, Minato, and he like does like a it has like a projection of the Rubik's cube, and Daiki actually like pushes him out of the way, and he gets messed up by this Rubik's cube. It's like he gets put inside a Rubik's cube, and then like he jumbles it up while he's inside of it.
Yeah, that was fucked
Just
up.
yeah, messed up. And not only that, but he also like mind controls the other alchemists and makes them kill each other. And it's just like this is very traumatic. This is a very traumatic thing going on here.
Yeah, there's just a lot of trauma bundled up
Yes.
into this single day.
And I in my notes I put he goes, "You used your alchemy on me. Now it will rob these youngsters of their dreams." And then that's when he starts to make them kill each other. And then like uh he's like trying to get Daiki to wake up, but he's totally dead. And Garion's just like, "Yeah, I would kill you, but remember this despair and hold on tight." Then he just leaves. It's like that's cold.
Yeah,
That's so
cold
cold.
as hell.
But ultimately, uh, he blames himself for getting Suzuya killed, and he's worried about the kids going off and fighting Garion and getting killed.
Yeah, you can see how Minato's trauma of losing his friend, who was so optimistic and had these high hopes. He probably sees a lot of that in Hotaro, and he wants to prevent that trauma from repeating, and that's why he's trying to work with Garyon, just to try to make sure, like, just trying to pull
Trying to like
strings,
try to be like
playing
the
on both sides.
yeah, try to be the medium
Yeah,
between both sides.
it,
Yeah, it's like
it's like you can understand why he does it, but it's not the way to go.
right,
So
yeah,
it
and
really makes for a strong, like, sort of goal for the arc of just getting him back, getting
yeah,
him to see that he should be fighting, like, even despite the threat of getting killed.
yeah. So it's pretty touching, but it's also like sad. It's bittersweet to hear, because it's like there's still like the sensei they all knew and loved, but like now he's so overcome by trauma that he's just like in this like tunnel, right? He's in this
Yeah,
echo chamber, thinking that like he has to do this, like because he we know that like he's doing this for the kids, but like his trauma just like lets Garyon get into his head. But yeah, like after the story, Kudo Fuga actually gave them the location of the old entrance to the old alchemist school, so they can just raid it. And the others go, but like Hodor is still knocked out. Um, but he wakes up right as the others get there. So, um, like at this point, it's Spanner and Rene versus Minato because he meets them and he's like, "Your voices will not reach me." And so it's a double team on Dread, but uh, Clotho actually joins the fight, and she has a Gorilla Sensei and Blaglissia, and she turns into like a double amalgam. So I think this is like the second time we've seen a double amalgam, second or third
uh,
time.
it's the second time,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah,
it's like
being able to combine amalgams like that definitely shows that they're advancing that technique.
yeah. But the cool thing here, right, is that we see like Clotho kind of gets the upper hand, and like because it turns into like she branches off to fight Clotho. Uh, Clotho kind of overpowers Rene and almost does a fatal blow to her, but Minato actually like knocks her out of the way. And let's see, yeah, he does that and it, like basically like saves her from certain death. And right as that happens, that's when Hodoro appears. And let me tell you, dude, like if he hasn't already like put like half of his life force for the day into Steamliner, like you would think that like he's been Kaiokened out, but no, our boy is up and ready.
Yeah, no days off.
No days off. Because he goes and he a resounding Sensei, I'll defeat you myself. And and here's what he does, right? Before he's turns into Iron Gotchard, he tells Minato, he's like, promise if I can beat you, you'll go back to being our professor again. And that's when he turns into Iron Gotchard. And so it's like, uh, it's really almost like a last ditch effort to like, uh, kind of bring him back, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
And so it's
the Minato retrieval arc is definitely coming to a head here.
yeah, it's like he's in dire straits. And honestly, I think Minato realizes it's not a fair fight right now because he is just absolutely exhausted. Because like he fought Warp Terra, passed out for a little bit, woke up, and now he's back in the fight. You know, he walked there. He
Yeah.
really he ran there as well.
Oh yeah.
Um
He's tough.
and so at this point it's uh Iron Gotchard versus Dread and Clotho versus Rene and Spanner. Um so like they have a little bit of dialogue. Minato he mentions how Garion's stronger than you think, and his inner self is, I guess his third mask is coming off. He's saying, "I don't want him to not again rob people of their futures." And
Yeah,
like
he's finally
Hodor,
dealing with
yeah,
the cognitive dissonance of what he's trying to do.
yeah, and it's just uh like they're going back and forth saying like, "Hey, I know about your past. You just got to believe in me." And then like this is a really cool segment, right? It was where like, he's like, "Just believe in us," and like it transitions from like him from Iron Gotchard to like Hodor himself. Like you just gotta believe in us. And then like Rina's over there and uh she's saying that meeting everybody at the academy changed her for the better, so come back. And like he's seeing all this, and then Spanner's like, "Hey, I overcame my past, and I'm not a coward like you. So don't turn your back on them." I love him, dude. Like, cause like in the beginning
Spanner's
of
like skill issue.
yeah, dude. It's like Spanner. I remember like I was like, yeah, this guy's okay, but now it's like Spanner's probably my favorite character now.
It's
Uh,
definitely up there, honestly.
and and the other uh the other alchemist, Sabimaru and Renge actually, they pipe up here. They Sabi actually brings up how they all fought so hard to save him from being dread and not to give up, and it's like that's deep coming from him, you know, because like this he's kind of in the position that Sabimaru was in, but just more willingly, you
Yeah,
know.
pretty much.
And then Renge doesn't really have much to say other than like she just summarizing what everyone's saying and how he needs to stop being dumb. But yeah, like you can tell though, like at this point, uh Hodoro is just like he's basically on his knees because this form is running out. And I think it's cool that he's just like uh he's like, I'm not the kind of student the professor thinks I am. And he actually powers up Ten Liner with Warp Terra, and like and he catches Minato off guard. So like he's punching him with the train on one end, and then like punching him with the train like on the other, like behind him, and then like another train comes up from like above Minato from like a Warp Terra portal and just crushes him. And
Oh yeah.
then the others double team Clotho, and both get defeated. And so like that's whenever it's like we can take down Garyon together. And like it this was where he hears all of them. They reach him, but then he just has a vision of Daiki, and he just turns right around.
Yeah.
That was harsh. That was because like you see that, and you're just like, God damn! Like, he is so overcome by trauma,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's rough.
just like seeing Hodoro reminds him of his failure, right? And honestly, it wasn't even his fault. They got totally like screwed over by Garyon when that happened, you know.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, here. Here's where the turning point for him comes because um, he turns away, walks away, but it transitions to the Alchemist Academy with Garyon and the sisters, and he declares that Minato is not of use to them anymore, and he orders Lachesis to kill him. Uh, and he's looking at all the chemis that he's got, and he's like, "A new chemistry is afoot. One more vial than 10 years ago." And it's like, oh geez, we're getting
Cooking
closer to
something awful.
the door of darkness. Yeah, that was episode 25.
Yeah.
Really good. Great setups. Like it's I think because I every single episode I bring up the setup and payoff to this show, but I think it's really interesting how they did this, where uh they set up them like trying to reach Minato, but then the payoff where with him walking away just led to more setup,
Oh yeah. It
where it's like,
really like teased you with like, oh, are they gonna finally save him? No, not
yeah,
quite yet.
and it's like there's it's setting up that there's one more hurdle to cross, just one more.
And that hurdle is Garyon himself.
Yep. But yeah, like after this, it kind of like we get a bit of a chill out for episode 26. Uh, it's like they're like all the kids are helping with lunch service at the restaurant, and the Hodor is still out cold, and like he actually gets up and he's like, I'm gonna help. If there's something I gotta do, I gotta do it. And they kind of realize it's like, well, he's like, I mean, all of his friends are missing, and he only has a 10-liner, but it's like if keeping up this attitude, that's what's gonna get him back.
Man,
You know,
he's a real go-getter. It's hard to keep
absolutely.
him down.
And it's like he's lost things too. You know, like he's having visions of Hopper One and like all of his other chemis, and like it's like over 75 of his friends are missing.
Yeah.
Because I think they have I think they mentioned later on that they have around 76 out of the 101 chemis. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
like
that
he only
sounds
has, yeah,
sounds about right.
yeah, he has only one out of the 76. Um, yeah, he's up and ready to help, and um, it actually switches over to Minato on a rooftop, and Lachesis is there with like a big old sword, and he's like, "Have you come to kill me?" And she she just kind of like goes up to him, and she's like, "Hey, what happened to betraying Garyon?" And so she questions him, and like she's like, "What? So what your plan is to train the riders?" And it's like, "Why?" And it's like, "You can't just let Garyon erase you now." And she even says that Garyon terrifies her, and she just wants to run with Minato and just get out of there, which is like that's huge. So it's like, is she going to become an ally at some point?
Yeah,
Which would be
possibly.
which would be crazy to see, because um like the at least like the dichotomy of the sisters, like you have Atropos, who is uh just like the coldest out of all of them, and is just like the most on like the don't let emotion get in the way of the mission type stuff. And then you have like Clotho, who's like really trying to prove herself, and will put herself in these like combat scenarios first usually, and she's the muscle, right? And
Yeah.
then Lachesis, like I don't know, because she had the like a an interested spanner for a bit, and then when Garyon got back into the picture, she changed because like he was so just like crazy. So it's interesting to see her become kind of the one that turns against the sisters, because like, even Clotho was like, uh, well, we'll get to that in a second, but um, because the other two sisters actually hear her say all this stuff about Garyon, and Atropos does not take like she's not that she does not take the damn it she does not take that well, and like Clotho's kind of just like, well, what the heck, man. I thought we were doing this. Why didn't why it's just why are you doing this? Why are you saying this? Um because she even pleads for forgiveness. She's basically on her knees begging, like, "Hey, man, I didn't mean that." And Clotho's kind of like, "Oh, I mean, and then Atropos is like, "No, kill her," which she means that because she even takes the Dread Driver and becomes Dread herself, which that was crazy. And it's like, oh, she's totally dead. Until Spanner comes out of nowhere and freaking like kicks her away. And he goes, "Oh, fight among family," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah."
That's oh yeah, Spanner.
Minato's just kind
He's
of hanging around.
Spanner's not taking L's anymore, so they better watch out with him.
Absolutely. He's like, because he mentions he's here from Minato, but he's also fine with this. Because he turns into Valvarad and he fights Atropos' Dread, and Lachesis escapes while Minato fights Clotho. Uh, let's see, Minato retreats, as do the sisters, and they just leave Spanner on the roof. And so we cut back to the service. It's closing time now. Everyone's tired, especially Hodoro. Rine arrives and says that they should have been doing more for him, in the sense of like, we should be helping him out more with like all this kind of stuff because he's shouldering all this responsibility, you know. Um,
Yeah.
that's pretty much what that whole scene was, is they were talking like, oh yeah, we should do more for him, and uh, coming to that conclusion because he's knocked out again on the like by some tables. Um, we cut over to Garyon again. He forgives the sisters for not apprehending either Minato or Lachesis, because now he's fret not. We only need two more level 10 cards, and we already have one of them already. Dragonalos, which this
Oh
card
yeah.
looks crazy. I was like, oh my god! Like he literally unleashes Dragonalos and it like full frontal attacks him. He blocks it and turns it into a gold amalgam. Like a level
Oh
10
yeah.
Kimmy into a gold amalgam. It's crazy.
That was crazy. Like how he just took his little Rubik's cube, opened it up, and that giant ass dragon Kemi pops out of it.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool looking Kemi. It looks like a level 10 Yu-Gi-Oh card,
Yeah,
basically.
seriously. It's like, oh my god, we got a freaking Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon here. But yeah, he actually sends this amalgam onto the mission to get the next level 10 card. Which like we haven't really like he's talking to it like he talked to one of the sisters because this one's smart. Um, so we cut to a French restaurant. Kyoka and Spanner are in there, and they're kind of talking about the this is kind of how we learn about the new like the last level 10 card, Gaiard, which is basically just like the planet Earth as a
Yeah.
as a Kemi, which is like that's very overpowered.
Yeah, that makes me
Um,
wonder how you could like create entire planet chemis like
yeah,
with just alchemy. Like where the hell did you get Jupiter from?
straight up. Or like we learn of Fire Mars and later on, which we'll get to Fire Mars here in a bit. Uh, it's like it must be like an elemental thing because like I was thinking it's like maybe Gaiard is just Earth, just like as like the ground, like a ground type, but like his card shows like water and fire as well. So it's like I don't know if he's like the amalgamation of all the elements possible or what, but whatever he
Yeah,
is,
possibly.
he's pretty OP. Um, so uh, they kind of talk about the implications of the plan getting fulfilled. Um, and Kyoka, this was good planning on her part because, like I mentioned earlier, she used to be in the same friend group as Minato and Daiki. So she's like, leave Minato to me. You go find the Kemi to Spanner, and this is a great idea in retrospect. And of course, the Gaiard Kemi is residing in a museum of Earth environmental science. Um, there's a giant model of the Earth out front, and Gaiard just resides in that. They cut back to the restaurant, and yeah, Hodor's still knocked out, but they're like, yeah, let's. Like, we got the alert of the Kemi being there, but we don't really want to wake him up. right? They're like, yeah, we got to help him out. So like this is kind of them going, yeah, this is us pulling our weight now, except for when Rene's like, actually, let's wake him up because he's just gonna follow us anyway. And so they wake him up, and he's like, yeah, I would have followed you guys if that were the
Yeah,
case.
there would have been no
Because
point.
they know him. I mean, he
Yeah,
just
they
did
know
this
him all
last
too
episode.
well.
Uh, so yeah, they have uh, they're all pretty much prepped to go and get Gaiard. Um, so we get over there. Dragonalos gets there before all of them, and he challenges Gaiard. And Gaiard pops out of the earth and rushes him, but then he immediately gets turned into a card by Dragonalos. Um,
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen Amalgam just catch a Kemi
yeah,
like
like
that.
it was really surprising just to see that where he's like, wow, he's doing like a job that one of the sisters would be doing. But like, I don't know because I think we're getting to some of Dragonalos' lore here in a second. Um, but which it could explain why he's so intelligent. But yeah, he turns Guard into a card. Right as he does that, Spanner runs up and attacks him, and they get into a little altercation. But crazy thing, right? Dragon Alice is like, "Oh, the Black Flames. I recognize these." So it's like, wait, you recognize like something specific to Spanner?
Well, it could be like generational to Spanner, like
True.
some kind of like family specific alchemy that just
Yeah,
runs in his bloodline.
because like part of me thinks because like whatever he saw his family get killed, that's whenever the Black Flames started to spawn. So I think
Yeah.
what it is where it's like it's a lot of basically like the stuff that would turn you into amalgam, but like you inherit that kind of stuff. Which
Yeah.
at least whenever he got turned into amalgam, that's kind of how I saw it. Where it's like the black flames kind of went to from him to Mad Wheel, and then they kind of mixed together. That's messed up. I wonder if we'll ever see like a Hodoro and Hopper one amalgam.
Yeah,
It'd
that'd be
be messed up,
like maybe
terrifying.
that'll be in the summer movie.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. See, then Rene jumps in, and they go to Lucid Dragon also, but Iron Gotchard saves Rene from a fall, and this is when Iron Gotchard takes over. They start to fight in the middle of the museum. Uh, we find out that Dragonalis and Gaiard were the very first two Chemis born, and were
Yeah.
powerful enough to lead to the creation of the number systems. All level 10s are derived from them, and granted the mark of X. And then, like, because he just like, the amalgam tells Hodoro this, so it's like this is nuts. Just like the founding fathers of the chemis, basically the first two
Yeah.
ever made.
And I wonder for who I just want to know who made them and
Yeah,
how. That's my most burning question.
I think it has something to do with the whole like organization as a whole, because they're so corrupt, dude. Um,
Like you think the organization like put a brain trust together, like all their top alchemists to just create these monsters?
I think so, because like part of me thinks that they were like experimenting with the forbidden alchemy, right? But then in doing so, created the chemis, and so they were like, oh wow, let's do every single possible combination possible and see where it gets us. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
Maybe
that's
to
at least what I
create
think.
maybe to create some kind of like artificial life army or something with all of
Oh
their
yeah,
chemistry powers. Because that would certainly tie into like the narrative of chemis being tools versus them being living autonomous beings.
yeah,
And so that would definitely make for a good conflict where the Alchemist Academy, reveals themselves and show that they're just trying to use the chemis as essentially bioweapons, and Hotaro just saying, well, screw that, and just fighting for their liberation.
yeah. Because like uh, Garyon kind of is the total opposite of uh, of Hodoro for sure. Because he's very like what he wants is very vapid, and we'll get to that later on. But uh, he's definitely using the chemis as just as tools. He just sees them as a means to an end at this rate. Um, but he's like, yeah, the level 10 cards are there's only like a couple level 10 cards. But then Hodor was like, well, my 10 liners are level 10. And Dragonalis kind of like laughs it off because he's like, human can't handle ancient alchemy. And he knocks him out of Iron Gotchard. And the others try to come help, but he keeps them at bay, like just like shoots like a couple like beams at him. And he's like, all right, well, now that I've got you right where I want you, I'm gonna kill you and take your level 10 card, and that'll give us like just an extra key. Um, but not until old dad comes back. Fuga saves him yet again. Uh, and he's like, he gives him a whole spiel. And he's like, "I will light the path towards the next generation." And here's the thing, right? His ring turns into what looks like Rene's ring, and then he pulls out two cards, Kuroana and Gigabaham. This man becomes Kamen Rider Wind.
Oh yeah, and his design is
His
fantastic.
design
The
absolutely rules.
Because you got the black hole chemi and the Bahamut chemi mixed together,
So
and
he's just a flying black hole, absorbing attacks left and right.
yeah,
Genuinely, I was like, wow, what a just OP combination.
and
And like,
the black and red with gold color palette, like that they just picked like one of my favorite possible color palettes for his design. So I'm
absolutely,
definitely biased towards him.
because it's so unique compared to like what we've seen so far. Because it's been a lot more like lighter colors, where it's like purple, and then like the real like ocean blue that Gotchard has going for him, and then like how Rene's more of like white or like super light blue. This like contrasts with all of it because it's like black, red, yellow, really cool.
But the suit still looks like it's in the same family as the Majade suit.
Yeah,
So I like how it keeps some continuity since he also uses the Alchemist driver.
yeah. He uses a mixture of wind and black hole abilities. He quickly absorbs most of the attacks thrown at him, and he keeps up with Dragonalis as he's flying away. And like he says something that was really cool, where he's like, "You rely too much on the power of the Kimmies themselves. Real power is when you fight alongside them." And
Oh yeah, that was a good line.
he beats Dragonalis and uh, obtains the Dragonalis and Gyre cards. And he's standing at the top of the stairs, and he's like, "All right, guys, we won." And they're like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" Until he gets fucking stabbed in the back, or just
Oh
ran
yeah,
through by Garyon when he's out of his fucking suit. And so he's on the ground, and Garyon's like, "Ah, give me those cards," and he just leaves. So then they don't have Dragon Alice or Gyard anymore. Um, and he's like, "This time I'm asking you to leave, Kudo Fuga," and he disappears. And so, like, Rene just saw her dad get stabbed through, right? So
yeah, real
she's
bummer.
like, her acting in this scene is really great. The actress, because like it was like, oh my god, that was just, like, totally shocking. What happened? Um, so he goes from here on out, you kids will be the one to thwart Garyon's plans. And so he tells them the location of Garyon, and he opens the portal to the Ouroboros realm. And so he's not dead, from what I can tell here, because he kind of just melts, and they're like, oh, so it was just an alchemist body double.
Well, it could be that he already died, but he made a body double like just in case
Yeah,
it was needed. But I don't know, I'm leaning more towards he actually is still alive
yeah,
and is just hiding out somewhere.
yeah, I feel like we'll absolutely see him again, at least by the time the next big arc starts.
Yeah, or
Um,
maybe like towards the end of the show.
yeah, the door to the Ouroboros realm is opened, and they use 10-liner to get there. Minato sees them go into the realm from the distance, and Garyon, we cut to him in the uh, in the Ouroboros realm, putting the last two cards, Dragonalis and Gaiard, into the sky, and the it kind of zooms in on Hopper 1 as like the golden chemistry starts. They start getting like dark power taken out from them. And so we start episode 27 with the quote, "A power so potent it could bring about the world's end." Right?
Damn.
And a large cauldron appears as the Kemi's powers are draining, and the door to darkness is now officially in the sky, where the Ouroboros like structure is.
Yep. It
Looks like
was
a
hiding in plain sight the whole time.
yeah, and it's just like, oh god, like, oh man, let me tell you, the setup in this episode. There's a maximum payoff and maximum setup because there's some crazy things that happen here.
Yeah,
Um,
because this episode is essentially the end of the current Alchemist Academy dissolution arc that's been going on. So it's
yeah,
definitely a big one.
there's nothing but action here because the right as the gang arrives with the final key, the Gotchard driver, right, Garyon's like, he and the sisters greet them as they arrive, and it's only Atropos and Clotho. Lachesis isn't here. Um, Garyon goes on to say, once the door opens, all the Chemis will die. So definitely a huge contrast to Hodoro.
Yeah.
He just kind of sees um, the Chemis as a means to an end, and yeah, it's very vapid what he wants, which we'll get to that here soon. I can't I can't wait to get to it because I just want to rip into Garyon for this. Um, so it's cool because like each of the characters kind of has they say their piece, right? Like Hodoro's like, we're stopping you right here, right now. And then it cuts to Rene, and she's like, we'll protect the future entrusted to us. And then it cuts to Spanner, and he's like, today's the day I avenge my parents. And then it cuts to Garyon, and he's like, soon all time in the world shall be frozen, and not a single being will have a future. And he turns into a new form of dread, Dione Dread. Um,
Oh yeah, that the Dread Dione form looks really nice. I love the red armor.
oh yeah, and it's like it's on the other side of where the unicorn usually is, and it's like it's got like it kind of reminds me a little bit of what was that one form? It kind of reminds me a little bit of Buffa in a way. I don't
Oh
know why,
yeah, because of the
because like with the
horns.
claw, the horns and the claw.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely see that.
but yeah, like it's cool to see like this new form kind of get put in the works. But they triple team him, and he's still ready to go, right? Um, and Sabimaru and Renge are there as well. And as the riders fight Garyon, the sisters advance on the alchemists. Garyon throws two gold amalgams into the mix. It's Camantis and Raidenji. So now it's looking like Garyon versus Hodoro, Rene and Spanner versus the amalgams, and Sabi and Renge versus the sisters. Uh, Hodoro declares he swears he'll save the Kimmies, and it kind of switches over to the alchemists fighting the sisters, and we see some cool alchemy action we haven't seen in a while. So like they like bust some chains out of the ground and like throw like pipe swords at them. And they kind of go back and forth with the sisters, and so it's cool to kind of see Sabimaru and Renge in action, like along with the riders, you know, because like seeing like the alchemist action, just seeing it at least in the first couple episodes, I was like, I want to see more of this,
Oh yeah,
and
that's definitely something a lot of people. I think a lot of people have been wishing that Gotchard had more of like,
yeah,
alchemy the way you'd imagine it in like Full Metal Alchemist.
yeah.
Just doing cool shit, rearranging like materials and stuff.
I was hoping that like the alchemist driver would at least let the user do a bit more freeform alchemy, or at least like instead of say like the Gotchard driver being like oh like, we have a form that is both creatures or both Kemi's powers put together. I was hoping that the alchemist driver would be something where it's like whatever's used here, you can use like the specific moves and such. Uh, like more on the alchemist side of things.
Oh yeah, definitely think that. I mean, I like that it definitely gives the non-writer characters more agency, like in
Yeah,
conflicts like this. And this episode definitely demonstrates that with how they're having to fight the sisters.
yeah, and it's cool to see them like fight because we haven't really seen Seven Mario and Renge do a lot other than like the Dread stuff, and that was like a whole arc ago. um, but yeah, she like Renge actually relents how the two became stronger after that whole Dread scenario, and Atropos is like, okay, well, I'll just mind control you again. She does that, and then it just deflects, and she's like, wait, what the heck? She actually gets taken by surprise here because they reveal that they are actually under the protection of the anti-brainwashing Zukyun shield. So Zukyun Pyre makes a little appearance here, uh, and they hit Atropos with a Zukyun, and she looks absolutely disgusted. It is cool because like they both are like, "You better show us elders some respect," and like the main theme kind of plays a little bit. And oh, here we go. Yeah, Valvarad uses the gear system to annihilate one of the amalgams
Oh
because
yeah, it was nice
it
to
goes
see
from like
that return
yeah, because I was
after
like
a while.
we've only seen this once, and then now it's like we finally see it again. But it's really just it looks more like to be like a finishing move at this rate.
Yeah, it looks more just for stylistic purposes.
Yeah. So he destroys that Kimmy as Rene destroys the other one, and they're all like, this is our power, the power of trusting each other. And Garon's like, all right, you guys are corny, and adds he adds Unicorn and Steam Miner to his current arsenal. So like it's the Dread at this point looks awesome because on one side it's Dione, on the other side it's Unicorn, like the one that Minato had.
Oh yeah, it makes for a nice sort of like matchup
Yeah,
design.
and then he
Like,
has like a Steamliner kind of flying around him as he fights,
oh yeah,
and it kind of it really turns in Garion's favor because he is annihilating all of them. Like he, the seniors are on the ground, the trio's on the ground. Isaac is just totally cracked, destroyed
oh yeah.
almost.
They destroyed the iPad. That was
Yeah,
pretty
dude.
rough to see.
He's like, you never had the chance to win, and so like, um, as this is all going on, like the Chemies are still in excruciating pain as their energy's going towards the door of darkness. Um, so Garyon goes up to Hodoro, who's knocked out of his Gotchard form, and he rips away the Gotchard driver from him. And he's like, "Ah, you tempered it with your own hands, and now it's the perfect key." And then I open the door to darkness, and the door finally is starting to open, and it cuts back to the real world. And this is where I was saying that Kyoka's plan was really good in hindsight. So he's standing there and he sees the door open in the real world. Kyoka meets him. She's like, "You're now way beyond this being awkward." And this is like, because this is one of his oldest friends, right? So he kind of like trauma dumps. He's like, they just won't disappear. I can't forget any of them. I too is like I took their futures with my own hands. And so she gives him this really good advice. So you shouldn't forget him, because actually, before I go on, Minato, he's always been the type to be. He's the first to be like, okay, let's erase their memory of any sort of um, Kemi, right?
Yeah,
If
he definitely likes to go with the status quo.
yeah, he went to the status quo, right? Follow the rules. Uh, Rina used to be like that, but then like she kind of was like, oh yeah, I kind of get where Hodor was coming from. But here, Kyoka really like puts him on the spot. She's like, "You shouldn't forget him. We alchemists have a habit of erasing people's memories, but that's exactly why we can't go forgetting ourselves. Those memories of them, they're a prized treasure of yours. An alchemist on your level can transmute it and take that treasure even further." And then it cuts back.
Very great words on
Yes,
her part.
it's like if anyone I feel was ever gonna get through to him, it was Kyoka, for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Because like I think because that was the payoff right there. Because the setup with all of his students being like, "Hey man, come back to us, please," and then him be like, "No, I can't." But then someone who was at least on equal footing with Daiki telling him, "Hey, you gotta fight for them now." Uh, that was powerful. That was powerful stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um, so we get back to the gang. Uh, so the door opens and we see this absolute creature just like peeking its head out the door. And
Oh yeah, that thing is
Spanner's even
so
like,
creepy.
he's like, "What the hell is that?" Because it looks like something straight out of Evangelion.
Yeah.
Like we don't even see its face. We see like an outline of its face, but like it's got like three eyes and like a reverse triangle, like an upside down pyramid formation, and it's like, oh man, that's just freaking terrifying. And as that's going on, uh, Garyon, he's talking to like, "Oh, when I'm done, I'm gonna turn everything to gold. Isn't that what alchemy is for? I'll live in a world devoid of time, gazing upon its golden splendor forevermore." And that's what he wants. He wants to turn the entire world into gold and just stare
Yeah.
at it. So he thinks
And
bro think he Midas.
yeah, I always thought the gold thing was weird, but then I realized like how alchemy, um, the idea, like the oldest idea of alchemy was like trying to turn things into gold. Like that was the sort of flashy appeal of it, like through
Yeah,
history. And so I like how Garyon as the villain is like that's his representation of alchemy, is just trying to turn stuff into gold, which definitely does make him seem very vapid.
yeah, vapid and greedy, and it really goes to show where it's like that kind of mindset. This is kind of what it leads to. You know, that's like using creatures for material value versus like being going alongside these creatures to like help the common people.
Yeah.
And like Hodoro,
The
he says it best. He's like, "Is that it? Is that truly your gotcha?" Right?
yeah.
Because his gotcha, is just like, I'm gonna befriend all the Kemis, right? And then like he sees like the antithesis of that standing above him, and Garyon's like, "All right, well, I thought I was gonna keep you alive to see this, but I'm just gonna kill you." He goes, "Do that." Clang! His fucking sword gets deflected. It is Minato. He's here, and he's fighting Garyon, and he's like, "Your voice won't reach me anymore." And after Garyon's just like, "Oh, you're gonna let them die? You're gonna do that? You're gonna die with them?" And so uh, they all yell like, "Ichino, save the Kemis!" So he gets up and runs towards the Kemis. And get this right, Spanner, he jumps on Garyon, and he's like, "Show me that gotcha of yours." So that's development. That's big
Oh yeah.
development. Yeah, because I mean, I remember we came so far from the first couple episodes where he's just like, "You think chemis are things?" And now he's like, "Yeah, show me that gotcha." Because he literally was like, "Yeah, your dream is a joke to me." And
Yeah.
now it's just like, "Yeah, do it, bro. Get the
We've come so
show me
far.
that. Show me your power." And so they're all like quintuple deeming Gary on right now. Um, and like you see like this a wall of chemis just in the air, and like dude, let me tell you, like, this scene is just awesome because he yells out to the chemis and they're all writhing in pain, right? And
Yeah.
Garyon, he's over there like, "Yeah, darkness has enveloped those creatures. Your voice will never reach them." And like it's typical Hodoro, right? Because it's like his character, it's simple yet effective, right? Because you got he's he's just like, "You gotta stay strong." Just yells it, and like he has like a whole monologue where he's like, "I believe in you. I know you all have endless possibilities. I know you all have the power to make others happy. So don't lose to some dark power. You guys can overcome any obstacle. My friends and I overcame yours. Or shit. My friends and I overcame ours. So overcome yours with your own power." And it's like he yells this out, and everyone's just kind of like, "Oh shit! Like, did he do it?" And then uh, you see all the chemis that like they've helped throughout the show. Like you see Hopper One, Wrestler G, Saba Needle, uh, like the works, right? And then
Oh
you
yeah,
see
the
all
whole cast.
the whole cast is there, and so um, Hopper One, like he has visions of Hopper One whenever he was a kid. And okay, they do some like interesting things here, which I think it has something to do with the Ouroboros realm. But Isaac turns on, and you hear "Gotcha! I got it, Hodoro!" And it's Hopper One speaking to Hodoro through Isaac.
Yeah,
So it's like the
it
Pokemon
felt
the
like
movie.
yeah, it felt like when in that one Pokemon movie where Pikachu just started talking out of
Yeah,
nowhere. It's like the same
yeah.
sensation.
So that was crazy because I was like, wait, you could talk, and then X Wizard actually like is like, hey, I'm gonna grant you some powers, Hopper, and he becomes a level 10 Kimmy Crosshopper. Crosshopper, and so we got 10 liner and Crosshopper. So he's his main team is now upped, and Garion's just over there, just like, how can a mere artificial life form do that? That's impossible. And
Well,
then
Gotchard makes the impossible possible.
yeah, dude, because they're all like, that's the gotcha Ichinose believes in, the potential of humans and chemis. And so he like knocks everybody else away, and he advances on Hodoro. He like quickly turns into Iron Gotchard, and he like launches like the trains to the wall of chemis, and like totally just jumbles them and like knocks them out of the state that they're in. And yeah, he breaks the summon, and the door is starting to close. Garyon is very not happy, and he's like yelling at him and like just like totally losing his cool. And at this point, like even Iron Gotchard has the upper hand on him because he's just so just angry and just lost all of his control. So he pushed him back, and then here we go, dude. He's like, "It's time for it's your time to shine, Crosshopper," and he becomes one of the coolest forms I've ever seen from this series. Uh, Platinum Gotchard.
Oh yes, the platinum Gotchard suit is incredible.
It is awesome. It's sleek. It's because like it takes what I enjoyed about the original suit and just like ups it.
Yeah,
Because
this is
it's like
like feels like Steam Hopper's ultimate form,
yeah,
specifically like that combination at its highest level.
and it's like I'm looking at this like, dang, it is just it's not only one of the coolest forms I've seen, because like Gotchard just has really good suit design. I think it has some of my
Oh yeah,
favorite suit design from the series I've watched. Uh, right. I'd say it's like either even with or right above Ryuki, because Ryuki just had that such a distinct style to it. Um, but I don't know. Like this is they just like what's the coolest possible thing we could make right now, and they did it.
oh yeah. Gotchard suits have been like some of my favorite in the whole like franchise. Just
Definitely.
like I don't know, the detail is just so on point, especially with like the combinations of chemis, because that's like two vastly different things, yet they work them into these very like very well put together designs. It just
Yeah,
the suits look incredible, really.
it is just a joy to see. Um, so yeah, he's like, this is our new power, Platinum Gotchard, and Garion's like, yeah, you can change all you want. I'll just crush you all the same. And kind of eats his words because Hodoro just kind of goes Ultra Instinct on him. Because this power, it's crazy. Because like you see, like because his gauntlets and his like is where his shin guards would be, they all have like these like screens on them, right? So whatever Kemi he decides to use, they just get like they just like appear on his like shoulder guards, and it's just really cool to see because he's just like uh he could just do like fever attacks back to back,
Yeah, like
however many
he,
times he wants. Fever
yeah,
after
it seems like he has the command over pretty much all, uh, at least all the chemis he has so far.
yeah,
Like
because like
even the level 10 ones.
yeah, he can absolutely he uses the level 10 cards here, just like any other card, basically. Like I saw he uses in order Sabo Needle, Wrestler G, X Rex, UFO X, Kaiser B, Mechani Kenny, X Fortress, Odoripa, Raidenji, Catula, Ranking Robo, Warp Terra, and then finally a Platinum Hopper Liner Fever. And so
Yeah,
yeah,
that's like
needless to
this
say,
man is like a
Garyon
one
gets
man
crushed.
arsenal.
Because like literally all the final attacks we've seen in this show, they get used back to back on Garyon,
Yeah,
and it just goes to show. It's like, dude, Hodoro is so powerful right now. Like, just using all of like literally, and this is only like a couple out of like all the cards. Imagine how
yeah,
Fire Gotchard would think it looking at this form. I feel like Fire Gotchard would be like, wow, the future is in good hands
yeah,
because like this is just one of this. This is a crazy display. And all of the like I've only seen a couple Kamen Rider series, but this is just a magical display. What he did, just annihilating Garyon. Just
yeah. He's definitely one of, if not the most powerful rider in the series right now.
it is it's crazy to see, and we're only like barely over halfway, but it's awesome because it's like any doubts I had for Gotchard, I wish I could just go back to my past self after watching Geats and be like, yeah, don't worry, it's you have nothing to fear. It's gonna be peak.
Yep, the hype train continues. Yeah, because I
Um,
remember it felt like when the show first came out, like the promotional run up, there really wasn't a lot of hype for it because besides the cool new card gimmick, you really couldn't predict that like so much of what has transpired. Like I'm very impressed with what all I've seen so far. And it's crazy to think that despite what all they've been through, there's still roughly 20 episodes left.
yeah, and it's I can't wait for more. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Because let me tell you, Garyon's on the ground. He's like El Dorado, and
Calling out for the city of gold.
yeah, and so this demon door of darkness creature reaches out and just eats him. It just like drags him into the door and then closes it,
Yeah.
and only his cube remains on the ground.
And it's
But
like I just gotta wonder how that demon is gonna factor in to the rest of the story. Like how what the hell are they gonna do
yeah,
against that
yeah,
primordial, almost Lovecraftian creature?
yeah. Seriously, I was like, what the heck? Literally, is this thing? Like, isn't this like a primarily a kid show? Like, what is that? That freaked me out, dude.
Eldritch horror in my Sunday morning children's show.
Yeah, it's like kids are gonna wake up at like 8 a.m. and like peep it, and then you're just like going to school, just totally traumatized. But yeah, door closes, cube's there, and everybody's kimmies come back. Everybody gets all their kimmies, and they're like, now let's go home to our very own Alchemist Academy. That's what Minato says, and they're all like, yeah. But not all is peaceful because Atropos picks up the cube, and so she'll be picking up where her master left off for sure. And we also cut back to the real world, and we see that Kyoka is sitting down, but Lachesis is with her, and she actually gave Minato passage to the Ouroboros realm. So if Lachesis is an ally, she has direct like contact with the Ouroboros realm. So even if Fugakudo's dead, she can still get them to the Ouroboros realm if they have to go. So that's pretty
Well,
good.
that's highly convenient for
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. So thus ends the current arc we're on.
Yeah, and then leading into episode 28 doesn't really begin a new arc, but it's like
It's more of just
after
like,
all
yeah,
after
like
all
a
we've
cool
been
down.
through, it's time for the breather episodes.
Yeah, it's a vacation to a village, and we focus on this like this elderly woman is tending to a like a shrine with a kitsune, and I'm like, ooh, it's Geets, ooh,
Yep,
we're back. Uh,
Geets has returned.
I was like, oh wow, this is because like I remember the little Geets, the actual Geets shrine they had. This totally wasn't it, but um, well, I mean, I guess we could headcanon it because I mean, didn't didn't Ace like see Hodor at the end of Geats
Yeah, that did
and like
happen.
wished him well. It's like God himself wished him well. So
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know for certain because I didn't like it didn't like look like the exact same, but who knows? Maybe they want it to feel like a connected universe, so it is the same shrine.
elderly woman is attending to a shrine, and a girl walks up. Turns out it's Renge, and this person is a grandma. So she's visiting Osaka and will be staying with her. So she rides on her grandma's back to the village and sets up shop in her room. However, she hears something strange coming from the closet and goes check it out. Turns out nothing in there except when she turns around, there's a yokai and it licks her in the face. And it cuts to the opening, and then we cut back to the gang is at the Alchemist Academy, kind of touring it once again. This is the first time they've been here since the last arc. I think because whenever they all got all got quote kicked out,
Oh
they,
yeah,
they haven't they
like
haven't
it's
yeah
their first time like back in that like building.
yeah they reflected on the last arc a little bit. Minato is kind of still in his feelings. He's like he doesn't deserve I don't deserve to teach, but the others are like, nah, dude, like there's no one else that could teach us. Let's be real. And he's like, I guess so. Um, okay, so it's actually 78. They have 78 chemis. I don't know if it's you know, I think my original estimation was correct. That was before they had Gaiard and Dragonalos.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So it,
yeah, they now have 78.
yeah, it sounds right.
So Sabimaru is currently fixing Isaac at his parents' house, so he's not in this episode. And Renge is also in Osaka, so she's not with them at the moment. Uh, so the Alchemy Association sends them a message, and they're like, they never expected that the hero Garyon was the root
The
of all evil.
hero.
Yeah, they say that in italics in the subtitles. So the hero Garyon was the root of all evil, and you guys have exceeded our expectations. And
Thanks, guys.
you
You
know,
were really helpful during that entire
yeah,
arc where they kind of hijacked everything.
yeah. When like the mortal fucking enemies of the alchemists took over for an entire arc, they're just like, oh, just continue collecting chemis. We expect great things. And I put in my notes, I said, ew, because I'm like, there's something going on here. Come on,
Oh yeah.
like, are they really, you know? So Spanner, he also realizes they kind of just turned a blind eye to the whole situation. So, um, he's not surprised that they were so welcoming after callously abandoning them. And get this right, Minato's like, yeah, organizations don't change overnight unless, of course, there's a change at the executive level. He says, and he like slowly looks at Spanner.
Oh
And
yeah.
then Spanner slowly looks at him, and then he just exits.
That was very curious. Like, I wonder, like, is Spanner like secretly on the executive level, or does he have family there, or
Ooh.
what? Like,
Yeah, because like,
as,
because that's interesting to think about, because he's a higher grade than Minato, right? Or are they on the same level?
well, that was in Spanner's first ever appearance.
Yeah,
He was like, we're technically on the same level, right?
yeah. And it's like he's
Which,
not a professor, So it's like, I don't know, dude. Like, cause there's more setup.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, it's like that's there's so many things that could be pointing towards. Like, I bet they're gonna like assault the executive board at some point later on in the series.
Oh yeah, I'm very eager to see them.
Yeah, because like last time we saw them, they were just like scared old guys. Whatever's gonna happen, they're setting up for something big. Because like that was some devious looks that were given. Anyway, they get a call right as Spanner leaves, um, and Renge's like, "Hey, you guys got to come to Kokonotsu Village because there's a yokai here." And this guy just like takes her phone out of her hand, and he goes, "Never fear, I can dispel the yokai." And this is the exorcist with the power of the stars themselves, Starshine Hoshino. This guy is straight out of a Yakuza sub story. Um, he's got like this giant like beady necklace and like these like ancient robes, headband. Um, and he also has his trusty sidekick Pandora Kaijiki. So Kaijiki's here, and he's this guy's protege.
Yeah, we haven't seen him
Yeah,
in a
we have.
while, have we?
So, yeah, we haven't seen Kaijiki in freaking forever. We haven't. I don't think we've seen him since Zook Empire.
Oh shit! What? I barely even remember him being in that one.
Because he was, I think he was just like a part of the gang of like the giant group.
Oh, part of Zukyun's harem,
Yeah.
possibly.
Um. So yeah, they get to the village at night, and Renge greets them, saying that the yokai has one big eye and licked her face. And there's like a green light that like pops up, and it's like a little green flame. Everyone's freaking out except for Rene because she thinks it's cool. And I think I think it's like, interesting like to see like these characters put in this kind of like scary situation just to see how they react. Because like it definitely in like a high stress situation, you can tell like Rene is like really good at handling this kind of stuff. She's just laughing at it. She's like, "Oh my god, it's a
Yeah.
ghost! It's awesome." But everyone else is just like, "Oh my god!" So they go into a shack where uh, presumably the yokai that licked Renge's face is there, and it jump scares them. Uh, and then like Hodor runs out, but then Rene like slaps the Gotchard driver onto him, and he becomes Gotchard. So he's in the middle of like this forest, and the one of the yokai like kicks him in the shin with his big old leg, and he's on the ground. And then he like turns out he landed on the little fire, so he's like his ass is on fire, and so he's just like, oh my god, he's trying to put it out. Um, so he gets his bearings, and he does like one of the like an actual like alchemy form where he turns into Tricera Catula. So it's like this real
Oh,
like, he turns like an armored spider, and he like tries to web up one of the yokai.
yeah. That's
Um,
actually a pretty nice, like, wild form design for
yeah,
Gotchard.
he gets deflected though, and like he ends up webbing himself. And the you hear a guy go water, wood, metal, earth, and a large flash of light, and it's Starshine Hoshino is back, and he just scared off the yokai. And so um, I mentioned Fire Mars earlier. Fire Mars actually jumps out of Hodoro's like basically like his Kemi pack, and like flies into the red part of Hoshino's necklace, and and he's like, "Oh wow, that's a fire element. I've completed the elemental necklace." So okay, okay, so they take the necklace and they just run away, right? But they literally just stole one of Hodoro's Kemis, and like Kaijiki, his so-called best friend, just steals from him and runs away. Basically, I'm like, man, what
Yeah.
the heck, Kaijiki? He's on one this episode, dude.
Well, to be fair, he has always gotten his memories about the chemis wiped,
Yeah,
so he probably like didn't realize the significance of Fire Mars like being taken away like
yeah.
that.
that, and we do know why Fire Mars went into the necklace. But we'll get to that later on. So we get some like thug types, like littering in the nearby forest, saying how the whole forest is going to become a dump anyway. And we see the yokai in the flesh, right, in the daytime. And it turns out they are obviously chemis. It's Barosol and Carrie, and level 2 and level 1 respectively. So they're throwing cans at the chemis, and they're like, "Yeah, get out of here!" So they're drunk and they're agitating the chemis, and the chemis are getting a little angry. Well, this is the perfect time for Amalgam because Atropos is actually watching them, and she uses the Rubik's cube to turn them both into gold amalgams. So like she gets a double amalgam surprise right here. So it was a perfect storm of making amalgam, irritating the chemis along with two like thug type guys, and so they get turned into amalgams, and we switch over to a press conference, and they're all like, "Dude, Hoshino is the base god. He's done it. He's saved everyone from yokai." And he's like, "Yeah, I did." And he says he vows to protect the village, and the rest of the gang are in the corner, and Hodoro calls Sabimaru, and he confirms that it's Carrie and Barasol are the creatures they encountered. So yeah, here's why Fire Mars went into the necklace. So apparently, the necklace has cosmic category chemis within it, and Fire Mars went there to be with his friends. And Rena brings up a good question: how he gained the star power is, but because she's like, I wonder how he gained the star power, and then Kajiki butts in, and he's like, "Oh, you want to know how he got this powers? Well, oh, Hoshino, come here." And so he tells this story. In short, in seeking spiritual power, he underwent a quote grueling training regimen, which was him just sitting around eating ramen all day at a dojo. He falls off a cliff into the water and landed next to some like cosmic balls, like dragon balls, and he wished for power, saying, I will use it for the good of the world." And thus the necklace was given to him. And they're all like, "Yeah, of the gods, baby, of the gods." I gotta mention though, the where they had like that crash test dummy.
Oh
They
yeah,
threw it off the cliff. That was
the
hilarious.
ragdoll.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was so funny.
Um, so yeah, as he says, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna protect this place." The freaking Barosol and Carrie amalgams bust into the conference and start attacking everybody. And so Hoshino runs up and uses his full necklace, but all it really does is just like shine a light on them. And they even go, "You're in our way, hack!" and they kick him out of the way.
Damn.
And he gets licked across the room by Barosol's tongue. Rine and Renge take care of the villagers, and Hodoro goes Gotchard, and it's Platinum Gotchard time. So we got two golden amalgams here, and special move Licka Strike by Barosol takes Hodoro by the neck, but like he uses X-Rex, just takes the tongue with one hand and just crushes it.
Yeah, that was hardcore.
That was awesome. And a projectile gets thrown at him, but he uses the X sword. So he uses a Pride Bushido X slash and cuts it and destroys it. And so they lay on a counterattack while Hodoro counters with a Gotchard drop breakdance kick fever, defeating them.
Oh, what a mouthful that attack is.
Yeah, because I think he used Wrestler G, and I can see the Kimi in my mind. I just can't remember its name. It was the wind one that he used to turn it into a tornado.
I forget which one that is.
It was a while back. We haven't seen this one in a while. So, gotcha, Barosol and Carry. So that's now I think they have 80 Kimis now. So the goons got brought back to the village, and when asked about them, Renge's grandma says that there have been talks of abandoning the village and turning it into a disposal site for industrial waste. So these guys are land sharks, and they also mentioned that no one wants to leave, but they may have to accept the offer since everyone's getting old. But the Kimmy situation isn't over yet, with Hoshino saying the door to hell may be opening. And the episode ends with one of the citizens getting accosted by an unknown creature. And that is episode 28.
And that is all of the episodes we've had to talk
And
about
and
for this
into the arc,
Gotchard
and
cast.
a beginning to another one.
Yeah, and well, it's more like some breather episodes, but still, we're in new territory.
Yep.
It's crazy to think that we're over halfway there, like only about 20 episodes left.
Real talk. And then we're gonna have like the next series cast.
Yeah.
Because in
Which
a
speaking,
previous life it would have been Geets cast, now it's Gotchard cast, and then it's gonna be Fi's cast next time or something.
yeah, which I mean, the rumors for the next season are already dropping. Like, they're just like rumors
Yeah.
for now, but supposedly it's gonna be a snack gimmick
A
where
snack
like
gimmick.
the driver is like a monster's face, and you just pop the lid open and you drop the snack in there, and you like
I
pull a
like that.
lever, and like the monster like chews down on the snack, and that's how the rider transforms.
Snack
And
pack rider.
I mean, it wouldn't be the weirdest concept that a rider has
Because
had. So,
didn't they do was it Gaim that was like fruit based?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
like fruit padlocks that you just put down into the driver, and then a knife cuts the padlock open, and that's how they'd transform.
Nice.
So the gimmick really isn't out of the realm of possibility if those rumors are to be believed. But until then, this is the GotchardCast signing off.
See you
Goodbye.
next game.